So I wanted to talk immediately about what's going on in Gaza, but not necessarily all episode about it, obviously. Just wanted to just like say some real basic shit. Like, don't just blindly support Israel. Please educate yourself on the matter. It's not hard to call out genocide. You don't need to be super educated on the matter even to call genocide what it is. It's even the bars for participation to make sure that you can do something about it are really low, like signing a petition. Like here in Canada, there's a petition that went around that got signed that became the most signed petition in all of Canadian history asking for a ceasefire, right?
Hmm.
Um, things like that. Now, because of how our system works here, they have to respond to that, right? Even if they don't listen or agree, like we're still making our voice heard, right? And like a lot of the protest actions, like writing MPs and writing like companies that support what's happening, it's made like business difficult for them. Like they can't even do like their emails and meetings because they're getting swamped with emails about that stuff. So like civil disobedience and organized action works, and like it's helpful to get involved, right? Even if you think that you don't have a lot of like power to stop something like that, you don't have to be going to protests if that's not where your energy. You don't have to be like risking arrest or like, putting yourself in dangerous situations if you're not somebody who can do that, right? But like you can still sign petitions, you can still make your voice heard about it. You can talk about what's happening, right? And I think that's important. And I just wanted to bring that up because while we're sitting here having this episode, like there is an act of genocide happening, and it's important to call that out, and to keep calling it out, even if it's just a little bit at a time.
Hmm. You want to
Absolutely.
acknowledge it. Like it's kind of like when you're
Hmm.
on social media. It's like doom scrolling is a thing, right? Doom scrolling is a real thing. There's so many um simultaneous bad things happening in the world, and then so it's difficult to not get like overwhelmed by that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, so like I struggle with this a lot, is like I feel like every time I hear about a bad thing, my brain goes, oh my god, you have to fix that. And of course that's ridiculous for me to fix the world's problems, but I think what it is, it's like a knee-jerk reaction for me. Just like, oh, there's a
Hmm.
problem and I want to fix it. And I guess I get a little frustrated when there are so many people on this earth that do not have that same response. And I think a lot of this Israel Palestine conflict is devolving into Israel versus Palestine. Like either you're on the side of Israel or you're on the side of Palestine. And it's like, really, I'm on the side of
Well,
no war. I'm on the side of anti-war. I'm on the side of no genocide. You know?
it's hard not to be on the side of Palestine though because of what's happening, right? It's not like Palestine went and occupied them, right? And shut their water off and stop them from having food, and bombed their hospitals.
Right. What I
Just
mean by
saying.
that is some people are like, Hamas needs to go in and blow up Israel, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, that's not being pro Palestine necessarily. You know what I mean? Just because you want the other side to blow up the other side does not mean it
Mhm.
doesn't fix the problem. You know what I mean? Like if Palestine all of a sudden
Yeah.
turned around and obliterated Israel, does that really solve the problem?
The
Not
thing is,
really.
I'm not going to pretend like I have enough knowledge to make a super nuanced take about what should or shouldn't happen.
Right.
I do know, though, that dropping bombs on hospitals and killing children and colonizing other people's lands and trying to forcibly remove them and meeting all the criteria of a genocide is
Mhm.
wrong, and the people
Right.
doing it should be held accountable, right?
Yeah.
Pure and
Absolutely.
simple. I'm not going to say what should or shouldn't happen because that's not my place, but I can certainly call out the injustices and atrocities happening therein, right? And I
Mhm.
plan to keep doing that.
There's this interesting discourse I was seeing on Threads when this whole thing was first evolving. Um, it was a lot of people. I don't know if they were themselves creators, content creators, influencers, whatever,
Hmm.
or if they were just people on the internet, but there was a lot of discourse of people being like, we like if you are a creator or influencer or someone with some sort of following or presence, you are obligated to comment on world events. And I was like, well,
To some degree. To some degree, I would completely agree with that, yeah.
right, but like I don't think right, exactly, like to a degree, like there's a degree of it. Like I don't think that like as soon as like this all devolves, like all of a sudden all these other accounts just had to stop creating their own content and start,
Mhm.
focusing all their efforts onto this Israel Palestine conflict. I don't know. Like personally, I don't think that like just because you're a creator, you have to issue a public statement on every single world event, because sometimes it's just like you don't have enough knowledge to craft
But
this,
it's important also to be
thing.
involved, like exactly what I did here. I made a take without necessarily trying to do super involved explanations or what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to be an educator on it because I understand what I don't understand, right?
Mhm.
And I know that what's happening is wrong. But I'm also not going to try and sit and give extended takes about it because, like, the best thing I could do at this point would be to use my voice to amplify other more educated voices. Like, there's a really good channel that I watch called GDF, which is an independent journalist who covers a lot of like wars and atrocities, and he never sides with like the colonizer or the oppressor. Like he actually gives the hard facts about shit, so it's pretty good. And like I would use my voice to amplify other people who know their shit, because I'm not going to go and spend all like the thing is too, we got to remember that everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, right?
Mhm.
I'm not the type of person who's going to research something the same way a journalist can, right? And like one of my friends worked in protests, not like financially, but like did a whole bunch of organizing way back in the day. And I talked to him when I want information on ideas for like what would work for social movements and shit, right? Because he's an expert in that field, and he's like gone to school for like relevant stuff with that, right? So it's important to know that we all have our strengths and our skills, right? And like as witches, our strengths and our skills are a little bit different because like a lot of my hyper focus and practice has gone into witchcraft, right? That's not necessarily something that everybody else is going to be able to do, right? I mean, not to say that people can't do witchcraft, right? But not a lot of people are going to go and practice it to that degree, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the same way that like I'm not gonna like sit here and do the same work that an engineer is gonna do, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on, and I think it's important to use your voice to amplify other more educated voices. That's what I think.
Most definitely. Chris is in the chat and says, "Hi all, and yes, I have the same reaction. I want to fix the problems, but in a relatively peaceful way." That's always
Hmm.
my go-to. You know what I mean? Like if we can use a diplomacy role as opposed to an attack role for
It can't
resolving
always be peaceful
conflicts.
though, and I understand that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not my job to judge um, when somebody who's being attacked on that level
Mhm.
uses force back, you know? Like we're always going to have to remember that we're in a society that's going to sanction its own state-sponsored violence and violently condemn any other violence from a group that is acting in their own interests, which of course trying not to be fucking genocided is a pretty good reason to fight back, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say I justify everything happening because that would be I don't know. I don't know of everything happening. How could I make a statement like that, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I certainly do think it's a complex issue, and trying to reduce it is unhelpful.
I
Yeah.
do think it is a little bizarre, like especially discourse on the internet is like if you say I am opposed to genocide, and there are people that go, but, and I'm like, no, there is no but. Dude, there is no
Yeah.
no. It's just a no.
But yeah,
Well,
I don't want to make the whole episode about it, but definitely was important to mention and bring up.
Always important to mention. It's definitely been the focus of a lot of every time like I switch like streaming apps on my TV, it defaults to like a news station, and that's all
Hmm.
that that is being talked about. Um,
Yeah, Instagram's been a very helpful platform because of how the way that the sharing works. I've been able to actually see a lot of content that people post.
yeah.
I'm low-key shadow banned on Facebook
Oh
from
no.
like posting stuff way back in 2020, and like anytime I even post like a YouTube video of a song I like, nobody sees it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's weird. It is what it is.
I
And
I stumbled
but
upon this trying to remember the person on Threads. I think it was Witch of Southern Light was their name.
hmm.
They're an author. I don't remember their actual name, but their Threads name is Witch of Southern Light.
mhm.
And they were talking about shadow banning. It was funny that you mentioned shadow banning, Sophia, 'cause they were
It
like,
happens a lot, seriously.
yeah, they were mentioning shadow banning as this sort of like modern day myth sort of thing because it's shadow banning. You can't prove it. It's like this
I
like sort of subversive tactic that these platforms use. And I don't know, I just thought that was like a sort of fun way to look at shadow banning. It's almost like it's like a hex, it's like a curse. Like Facebook cursed you. you know.
I definitely wouldn't say it's a myth though, because like it's so fucking observable. Like if you make posts that avoid certain keywords and like do certain things, they'll always get seen. Like I made a post about how my life has been getting better a little bit and when I got my car, right?
Yeah.
Everybody saw that. I got fucking
Yeah, I
like
saw the
70
car
likes,
picture, yeah.
right? I make a post about something going on with wetsuit or like a land dispute in North America or like something going on with Palestine and nobody sees it. It's just like fucking gone. No likes, no interactions, no engagement. I even post like a YouTube video of like a song I really like for a music video. And nobody fucking sees that.
Hmm. Is it
It's
can you
it's
see the
fucking
view count?
sinister. I can see the interaction from people liking. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
When you have like other posts that'll get like 70, right, and you have other stuff that meets certain criteria get absolutely zero, it's pretty obvious from the observer end, right?
I don't know. I'm not really sure because there have been moments where like on Facebook like I'll just post like the dumbest thing and then it gets like a bunch of likes. Like every time I change my fucking profile picture, it's like love your glasses, it's like and it's nice to get
Hmm.
those nice comments, but I'm like I just changed my profile picture. Like this is not a life-changing event that is happening. But then I'll post something like serious or something about a pagan pride event or whatever, and it does not get as much engagement as those
Hmm.
base simple things. So I don't know if maybe that's part Facebook's algorithm and maybe just part people and what they choose to interact with.
I doubt that.
Not sure.
I'm sure I'd at least get a little engagement, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Chris
It's
was saying
weird.
in the chat, there's a couple filters on TikTok where after a certain number of uses, the creator can use the revenue generated and are putting it towards relief efforts to Gaza. Can post a link to the ones. That is yeah, definitely share that link, Chris. That's really neat. So when you use the filter a number of times, that revenue. Okay, so if you're like on TikTok and you're able to generate some revenue, you can donate a portion of that to Gaza, Palestine. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, if you would share that link like either in the Discord or in the chat here, and then I can copy it into the Discord, that would be awesome. What's going on with you, Scott? How's your life?
None, I'm listening. No, I mean, I think my position on, I mean, not to bring it up again, but my position is on things has been pretty clear. I tend to also come to like, I think war is fucking stupid.
Right.
Just as in general, I think that
Hmm.
we're as a
We've got to be
species,
past that.
the only thing I'll say on it, because again, like Sophia said, I don't want to harp on it the whole episode, but
Mm.
I've been saying, and as naive as this sounds, I suppose, um, I think that with all the scientific advancement and some of the greatest minds are alive today, doing thinkers and philosophers and scientists doing wonderful work. I think that war, as we see it today, especially, but in general, I think it's medieval. I think that babies and innocent people and just people trying to like make a living, just trying to survive, just trying to exist. And these could be, yeah, I don't think that they need, and this is not, this is also for just war in general. I'm not
Mm-hmm. It could be
pointing a finger at
applied
anything
to
in
any
particular. It could
conflict.
apply to Ukraine, or yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't see why we're still at the point where we see it as a viable option.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I understand the naivety in it. I get it. And it's definitely a very, out of its time, maybe even before its time kind of thought, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, I'm tired of watching bodies.
Mm.
I'm tired of seeing moms lose their babies or children. I'm exhausted by it, and I feel horrible because I can't even imagine to be in it and then
Right.
to consistently watch it. And we know
Mm-hmm.
from a clinical perspective it does exhaust. So we might not be there, and we're not obviously getting what they're getting out of all of this.
But you're mentally putting yourself
But
in that
we
position.
are as a species, we're almost designed to sort of, that empathy that we're meant to have. It does exhaust us, and it does wear down on the collective psyche as we watch it occurring. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
not only that, it's the problems we have here, which, I mean, one thing I've said, this is when the war between Russia and Ukraine started. um I said, I was talking to my therapist, and I said, where we're at right now in in the global political climate, everything that happens everywhere else is like a ripple effect,
Mm.
and it has, whether in some direct or indirect way, has an effect on what occurs globally. And right now, uh aren't we know that um if another kind of MAGA conservative uh takes the presidency, um you know I don't know. I don't even want to know what the future is going to look like.
Right. You don't want to know what
And the
fascism
fact of the matter is that
America.
America, and Sophia, I think, has said as much, is the fact of the matter is that America is very powerful.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is that, I hate the idea of being like, if our presidency happens, that changes the world. But the fact of the matter is that if we have a
That's
mob
true.
conservative in the American presidency, it changes the fucking world.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm proud of that. It's not because I'm happy about it, or even because I'm all like, yeah, America,
It's just an
um,
unfortunate
it's
fact.
just a really
Yeah.
unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
And, it's like, it kind of becomes like, how do I put this? It looks like a never-ending. I don't want to call it the chore list isn't the word. It looks like it's like a list of like 100 things you have to do, and it feels like it never ends. And you're just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my god. And then, yeah. And I'm exhausted, and I'm tired of watching people die. I'm tired of watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of men and families having to essentially throw their another family member's life down to go fight in someone's war. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired of it. I'm exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want people to die because you know, we can't talk. I don't know. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just tired of it, and
Exhaustion's a reasonable response too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also just really aggravated.
Yeah.
Not at anyone, right? Like, I'm not aggravated at anyone. I mean, I
Just a
am, but
general aggravation.
I am aggravated at people. I'm aggravated at extremism. I'm
Mm.
aggravated that people can't think for themselves. I'm aggravated that we're so prone to this sort of when I say we, I mean us as a species,
Right.
as a collective people. Um, we're prone to this extremism. and particularly those of us who are, who want to harm other people for whatever reason it may be, right? Whether it's, um,
Military, social, political games. Like I've watched a lot of stuff on it. Like, um, it's it's because the military industrial complex feeds on human life and they can acquire territory and extract resources from it, and no cost of human suffering is too great, right? And then the propaganda machine will just whirl up anything they want to make people believe that a conflict is justified, right? When in reality it's just like an outright exercise of like imperial power,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fucking gross.
That we're still doing. Like, it's like we've been
And
doing this
society's been doing it
forever.
for the whole fucking time, and
Yeah.
every empire likes to assert vehemently why it's not like any of the empires prior to it that have done the exact same things,
Yep, yep, yep. I don't know. I don't. I don't know.
All of the
I
American
mean, like
Empire.
it's like I said when I had to vote for mayor here in
Ugh,
Philly.
Mayor.
Uh, our choices were horrible because, well, yeah, horrible and
Worse.
just worse. And it's weird because the worst part is about it is that, like, there. How do I put this? There was only one option, and they're the worst option. Like, it was really weird. Like,
Mm.
either I voted for a transphobic conservative,
Mm-hmm.
or I voted for a severely corrupt. And I know more than I can let on because I have news from my friend Christian, who I can't say more about that, but
Mm.
he works for lawyers. Anyway, make of that what you
Mm.
will.
Yeah.
And I know things that I don't even know if he was supposed to tell me, but she's really fucking corrupt.
Yeah, she
And
is.
and it's like,
And you
so I
know what's
had
a
to vote for
shame?
her.
You know
Um,
what's even worse? What, like, I hate to be like, this is the negativity episode, but this is sort of positive and negative, right? So saying to Rue, I was like, well, you know what's interesting, right? So this was so she's our 100th mayor. So Parker's our 100th mayor of
mhm.
Philly. Our choices were between a black woman and an Asian man. So that's fairly progressive in that light. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like two old white dudes battling to be mayor.
Yeah,
So in a
yeah.
way, that was nice. Unfortunately, she sucks. Like,
Yep.
not because she's a woman, not because she's this or that or the other, but she just sucks. Like her politics, her policies, she sucks. Um, so unfortunately, that it's kind of what happened. But she was the Democrat option, so
Mhm. Yep.
that's where like I don't know, like I am super busy with my like I just all the time. There's always something going on. There's always some kind of project. But I'm like, should I just run for office at this point? But then I'm like, would that actually solve anything? Like we would need many people like us running for office in many different positions in many different places across the country. Like it would have to be like almost an organized. We'd have to create a third party, a third political party is really what we'd need.
I mean, if that's what's needed, do it,
Which party?
right?
There
No,
you
I
go.
don't think
Which
I
party
don't
are you?
think
The
that
witch
would get
party.
enough widespread. That wouldn't
Yeah.
get enough widespread appeal, and it would.
And
Politics is tricky.
No, you know what I
and
was thinking about? I was thinking when you were just saying widespread appeal. I had to attend a funeral. Me and Rue had to attend a funeral on Friday for one of Rue's great uncle passed.
Mhm.
Um
Sorry to hear that.
and he lived a long life, 87. So yeah, he had a pretty good life. But so they're Catholic, so there was a whole like viewing in the church thing and a
Sorry.
whole service at the church. Catholic church. I've never been in this one before. So
Mhm.
um I was just in there kind of, you know, taking in the scenery and the this and the that and looking at all the similarities between Catholic mass and rituals that I've done. Um and I was thinking, I was like, just the institution of like the Catholic Church, like not even Christianity as a whole, like the Catholic Church. They got the Vatican behind them. They got all this money. They got all these organizations, and they have so much structure and foundation behind them. And my dream is to build some sort of, don't want to say the same type of thing, but some sort of structure, organization, foundation for people that follow other faiths. That's sort of my big overarching dream.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, I was like, you know how like Christians, I guess like the sort of Christian thing is to proselytize, to recruit, essentially. Everyone should be Christian. Like, like that's kind of the vibe. Get everyone to the
Yeah.
church, everyone to
Yeah.
pray to Jesus. And I was thinking, I was like, well, from a witchcraft perspective, do I want to do the same thing? Like, do I want everyone to be a witch? Do I really want that? Because like I started to apply that, like thinking to myself, and I was like, no, I don't. I really do. Because could you imagine if every single person on this planet, like, we're slinging spells at each other all day? Like,
The
it's
thing
hard
is,
enough as is.
the thing is, people believe their own things enough, and even if you did try to proselytize to everybody, you'd meet a lot of people who just will outright not believe it and will just
Right.
fight you about it and become hostile because of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not possible to proselytize magic to everybody, nor should anyone do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's actually funny too, if I also may say. I've experienced a lot of people who believe and have zero interest in studying or practicing the art.
mhm.
Like,
Interesting.
and they're from all different religions, some no, not religious at all. Uh, it's like what I said before years ago about like sometimes I think that the witch, like the marker of someone who will or can work the art is someone who truly wants to.
Yeah.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Because you have to
Who has like a
seek it out.
genuine interest in doing that work. Because like I said, yeah, there's just people who are like, I totally believe in it, but like it's not I'm not gonna do it. You
Mm.
know? And it's
Mhm.
like, and for me that's so foreign. It's so odd to think, oh wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who it's just not their thing,
And
you
that's what
know?
I'm starting to understand, is that there is levels of commitment to magic. Like, kind of what you were saying last time we got together, Sophia, like someone who believes in magic but may not be like a student of magic actively studying it. They're the ones that'll buy like a potion, a pre-mixed potion,
Mhm.
like a
A
charm or
great
something like
bag.
that. They're the ones that'll do that. So the belief is still there, the power is still there, the magic is still there, but it's just that they are not wired that way in their mind to do that themselves. And so this really just keeps coming back full circle to me, that like, as practitioners of the occult, whether you call yourself a witch, a wizard, a warlock, a mage, whatever all these other titles and monikers and names that we give ourselves, we occupy a really important niche part of the universe. And the work that we do is important. And I just think like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. Like when we are doing a tarot reading for a friend that, maybe they don't read themselves, like that, we're helping them. We're giving them something. We're giving them access to something that they could not access themselves. And I think that's kind of like,
Well,
I don't know, it's almost like
without a lot of practice.
right. Yeah, yeah. So
Right.
I don't know. I just think it's like, personally, I've always been drawn to the idea of being clergy of something, right? Like I'm in service to something. And I just kind of feel like I'm in service to humanity. You know what I mean? Kind of like,
Mhm.
that's just kind of what I'm here to do, is sort of like lay the foundation of this. Cuz at the
Mhm.
kind of what I think we as a society are kind of moving toward, we're definitely moving toward the intersection of magic and science. And I think once we can kind of like accept everybody's religions and viewpoints in the world, like if we can find a way to like prove all of this is real, all of this other stuff, this esoteric kind of stuff, it's
Mhm.
humanity is going to advance to like its next level. It's going to be wild. I was talking to one of Rue's cousins at the lunch after the funeral, and he's real into like quantum physics, stuff like that. He's way more educated on that than I am. But I was explaining to him, I was like, I've read some things. I'm grasping the basic concepts of it. And I was like, it's just like science is calling it quantum physics, and religions call it prayer, and witches and wizards, they call it magic, but it's like all the same thing, you know.
Hmm.
I think we're all like kind of reaching a point where we can have these really, I don't know, these sort of weaving together of ideas. I've just been encountering a lot more interactions with people that I'm able to talk about more esoteric stuff with, and it's kind of cool. And I wouldn't
Hmm.
expect, like those people to kind of engage in that. So, sort of experiences I've been having.
Yeah.
I guess it's a little like hope for the future kind of thing. Like, if more of us can start to talk about these things on deeper levels, then we can start to get over our own bullshit.
Always
Maybe.
trying.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else have people been up to with Magic these days?
Um. mm,
N-
1,000 different things. I have kind of been more. You know what I'm working on in the Gray School right now. This is kind of going back to. I know we
Hmm.
talked about magical names before in previous episodes, but we can talk about it again. I'm reaching the point. I'm finishing the last of my Wizardry 100 class, and this is about magical names. And I have just been on the fence and
Hmm.
like racking my brain about magical names, because like, how do I feel about them? Like as a trans person, I worked really hard to become Jason, Jay, me. And that feels like me. And like with a magical name, I'm like, do I really need one? Like I don't really feel the need to like have a layer of anonymity about me.
Hmm.
So I don't know. That's like sort of something. It's my last assignment, and I'm not really sure what to do about it. I'm like, do I need to pick one? I don't. I've not.
It
mm,
helps.
Hmm.
It can help for sure.
I. It's funny. I know what it is. When I was young, I had it given to me in a very intense dream while
Yeah.
doing some work,
Like I
and
have one that I do not share publicly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
I
you
don't.
shouldn't be sharing your mage name,
Right.
but mine's Omni. Lol.
What are you saying, Scott?
No, I only what I do is I tend to only share it. My thing is that I only share it when I'm with. I only share it to other mages, and I only share it to other mages that I'm friendly with,
Hmm.
like really
Hmm.
close with. Um, and I try to only share it when I'm in circle or actively doing like in some way in a magical space or doing like together physically. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
that's I'll impart my magical name that way.
You wouldn't just like
Um,
text it to somebody.
yeah. Uh, like if we circled together and like we're like having dinner and I in conversation we talk about it and I and I trust you we've
Mm-hmm.
hung out a lot and whatever, then I might share it. Um, but I also think that uh like anything in this stuff like spirits and deities, etc., sometimes you have this working relationship with them and they suddenly are just like, okay, well, I've done my thing with you and now it's time for you to move on. um I also think that sometimes magical names have to grow as we grow. um we all experience these sort of little deaths as we age.
Hmm.
um and you are essentially a new person upon coming out of that, digging your way out from that previous version of yourself, that from that previous death. And then this is especially true for those who practice magic, right? Because we actively engage these sort of archetypal metaphysical moments in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it, it's only logical to think that when you come out of that, your magical name will change, right? Um, I don't think it stays the same. So I often wonder lately, especially because I've been really wanting to get. There's a book, I think by oh, one of the one of the Forlocks. Devin
It's either
Hunter
Matt, Devin, Storm, or Cass.
or Kaz. Yeah, I think it's Storm.
The four starter Pokemon of the
The Forlocks. I love
right.
that they like the House of
Yeah,
Forlocks. I think it's awesome. But
very cute.
yeah, I love it. But I really do want to get Storm's book. I'm pretty sure it's Storm
Oh yeah, he
about
wrote a book
magical
about magical
names.
names. Yeah, I should probably
Yeah,
pick that
yeah.
up.
I do want to get it. And yeah, because I'm pretty sure that was my name then.
Mm.
And it's funny because I like even thinking about it, like I could feel its influence, but you can feel it sort of in a different way. When you have a magical name and you say it, there should be a sense to it, a feeling, uh, sort of like a stamp. You know what I mean? It like boom,
Yeah.
like whenever you say it, it like boom. And yeah, I don't feel that. Not that I don't feel the influence of my previous magical name, but I definitely don't feel it like I used to. Different now.
Yeah.
It feels it kind of feels dead. Like if it almost feels like an act of necromancy versus something that's alive, if that makes any sense. Thinking of my previous name, it doesn't feel like it's present anymore. It feels like I'm calling something back.
Mm-hmm.
And not in like a reclaiming my power kind of way, just in a I hope I'm making sense.
No, it does make sense
It
because
makes sense.
I've really been racking my brain about this. Like our previous assignment was about altars. Like a lot of this Wizardry 100 stuff is stuff that I have been doing for a millennia, right? Or what it feels like to me is a millennia, and so it's very like sometimes I'm trying to not be in the mindset of like, oh, I already know this shit. I'm not trying to be that guy because I'm
Mm-hmm.
approaching this
Yeah.
from level 1, so I'm trying to be like, all right, level 1. Um, but this magical name thing, this has always been a thing for me. So when I uh, when I had my first magical name, like the one that really stuck, because I have gone through like many that I would write in journals, and I am this, and I am that, and I am this. None of them
Mm-hmm.
really stuck, but the one that stuck, I've shared it with you and I've shared it with both of you before, but it's
Mhm.
not something I rarely write it down. It really just exists within myself. But now getting into this, but that was when I was very solitary. I was very not closeted, but like semi-closeted. Like I was so new. I was just new, and that name is just kind of that's when that name kind of was there. But now I'm very public facing um
Mm-hmm.
in the community. Like I was at a haunted house and I got a text from someone um randomly that I was like mutuals with, but I don't really talk to on a regular basis. I guess I knew them through the pagan community. Like, hey, like I saw you at this thing, and I was like, people recognize me now in public. That's interesting. So I'm realizing that like within this pagan community, like I'm starting to be more widely recognized, and everyone knows me as Jay, and like that's just me. But sort of like within the gray school, there's this I don't know, there's a kind of vibe. It's very academic and scholarly. And so I've kind of been felt called to, kind of pick a magical name. So I will and this would be one that is more public facing. So like this would be like a public
Mm-hmm.
facing sort of magical name, not like a super private kind of name. And
Mhm.
the first name that I settled on, I really love J names. So the first name I've settled on is Jasper after the stone.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's because it's very volcanic stone, and I really because I'm a earth sign with a lot of earth. I'm a fire sign with a lot of earth influence, which just reminds me of a volcano. So I was kind of called toward Jasper, but it was like sort of like I wanted like a first and a last name kind of thing. Um, and I didn't stumble upon that last name, and I don't know if this is like super lame to use or super cool, but I started rereading the Sword of Truth fantasy series, and Zed, the wizard that's in there, oh my gosh, she was probably like one of the first big wizard influences in my life, other than Harry Potter as a young kid. But like when I was a teenager, I was reading these books, and his full name is Zedicus Zul Zorander, which is just hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But I was
Wait.
thinking of taking Jasper Zedicus, but I don't know if that's lame to just like rip a name from a fantasy book.
I think that's kind of the point of fantasy, actually.
Right.
I think fantasy's there to, like, just from it,
Inspire.
like, I mean, from a therapized perspective, like the person on the end of the therapy,
Hmm.
I think that fantasy is a great way to engage the unconscious. And I think that if a fantasy name is engaging you somehow in some spiritual way, I think do it. I think go for it. And who cares if it's lame, right? Like I always hated the idea of cringe anyway. I think cringe is
Right.
lame.
Yeah.
Um, so I say go for it personally.
Do you like it though? Does it sound good? Jasper Zedicus. Like it makes
I
me feel
yeah, I
so
think like
wizardly.
I think it sounds super wizardy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean it sounds like every fantasy. It reminds me of do you there who was that there was a TV show oh what was it called? There was like this one character, she had like the power to make you tell the truth. Um she was
Wait,
like a
what are you talking
ranger
about?
type character. There was a TV show. There was like
Hmm.
the main hero, and then his love interest. She was like a ranger with the power to make you tell the truth.
Hmm.
And then there was this old crazy wizard who can like shoot fire and stuff.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
his
that's
name,
that's the show. That's it was called Legend of the Seeker.
oh yeah, that's it. Oh,
Yes, it
that's
was called
it.
Legend of the Seeker. That
Yeah, that's what I'm
show is
thinking of.
based off of that book series
Oh, okay,
that I'm
yeah,
talking.
that.
Yeah. I was like, "I tell you the truth, right? Because she's a confessor. That's what they're called.
Confessor.
Yeah,
That's it.
confessor.
A confessor.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the character Zed,
Yeah.
the wizard. Yeah, the
I
crazy
mean,
wizard.
that fits you, right? Like,
It really does. Like Zed,
yeah.
I was like, oh my god, that's fucking me. Like, because I was so young when I read these books, like I was in my teenage years, and of course I just flew through them. But now revisiting them as an adult after practicing magic for X amount of years after that, I was like, did I learn magic from this book actually? Like, is that actually what happened? Like, 'cause, like a lot of my viewpoints and stuff, really mirror Zed. So I
I
guess in honor
stand
of Zed.
by I stand by the fact that I think it's totally valid to have gotten into real magic through fantasy. I really do. Once again,
Mhm.
like I said, if fantasy is engaging your unconscious self in that way, then so be it. That's how you got here. You know what I mean?
Because
I
I've
think it's
had
valid.
such a magical resurgence since I started reading this book series again, and and these books are thick. I'm like, these are thicker than some magic books that I've actually have in my collection. Um,
Mm,
but it's just been filling me with such joy and magic again.
you know, it's
Um,
funny that you say that because just today, Darian is on a big Star Wars kick,
yeah.
and he's like trying to fill in all the pieces that he's missed. And he's currently watching the animated series that was on Cartoon Network for like 7 seasons, Clone Wars. And they just went to
Yeah.
Duramir, or the planet with the red witches
Oh, the witches.
and
Yeah,
the Night Sisters and everything.
Dathomir.
Dathomir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dathomir. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and Darian was like, "Is this the episode you were waiting for?" And of course, I was like, "Yes."
Oh, you talk about it. Oh, so he's watching Clone Wars.
He's
The
watching Clone Wars.
The Ahsoka series also features
Mm,
the Night Sisters have a huge presence in
are
that,
they in
and
that too?
it is very witchy. The Ahsoka series
Yeah.
is so witchy, and so I need you to watch it so we can talk about it on the podcast. Okay?
Okay, I'm gonna watch it because he's gonna. Well, I'm gonna watch it with him because he'll kill me if I don't
Yeah,
watch it. So give me a
yeah.
little bit of time.
I
But
guess. Yeah,
he's
it's fine.
burning through these seasons like crazy, so we'll get there in no time. but because he just finished The Mandalorian. But anyway, I just was
Mm.
watching that today, and it was funny because I was like, you know what? While I'm doing the podcast, it actually leads me into this. I was like, I'm going to do some divination. I haven't done some divination in a while,
Mm.
and I wanted to. I like to sometimes while we're talking, I throw cards about like for the podcast, like just in general. And I wanted to see what energies surround the podcast. And we have a really good reading right here in front of me, if you
Mm.
guys want to know it.
Of course, I want to know.
So we have the coins, which is speaking to sort of a very worldly sense of security,
Mm.
kind of talking about like our place here is secure. It's set. Uh, we have the wand, which is speaking to the overall sort of the spirituality, the essentially what it's saying to me is like kind of on task,
Mm.
keeping up with maintaining the point of the
Mm-hmm.
podcast. Then we have the heart, which is discussing passion for things. So that's really good. Um we're we're speaking with passion, we're talking about things we're passionate about, so that's good. We have the owl, which I know for some of us here is not cool, but in other places it means wisdom. Um and that's what it means here. It's talking about, wisdom
Mm-hmm.
and intellect. And finally, at the center of it, we have the anchor, which again was sort of staying the course, uh, and in a different kind of secure, a different to the coins. It's more like just staying the course and moving ahead. And yeah, it's a good vibes all around.
It's funny. It's like I just had this
Cool.
image in my head. Like,
hmm
you know how like Sophia, you always like liken the DKMU to like a pirate port. Well, I think of Witches Betwixt as this like ship. Like we're like this pirate ship. We're just kind of like floating out there and just kind of traveling around and saying and doing what we need to do. Just
Mm-hmm.
spreading the good word, I guess.
in a lot of
Float
ways,
your boat.
Yeah.
totally agree with that
Go ahead,
actually.
Chuck.
No, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying I actually agree with the pirate ship analogy.
Mm.
Um,
Or a
But
pirate airship. It could be either one. We could make it all steampunky and super cool.
where were we? I apologize.
We were just
No,
kind of
don't
talking about
apologize.
fantasy stuff.
But yeah, see the thing to get back to the magical name discussion because I know we
Mm.
were on that.
Mm.
I don't know why I have this thing where I do want to engage with that again, like see where I'm
Mm.
at with my magical name now as as the person I am today. And but I have this thing about like not choosing it. I like it being given to me because
Yeah.
that's how I experienced it the first time. And I remember like having the visionary experience and you know the way the first name was imparted to me was from this celestial spirit. He had these uh sort of these owl wings, these beautiful
Mm.
brown and white like under feathered wings with like little spots, and
Mm.
he wore this like long gown with a long golden stole, and he carried and he appeared multiple times in a span of 2 weeks.
Mm.
um and he had long like raven black hair, and he was very pale. And it's funny because his face almost looked generic, like he was just a clone of many or something. Like it was
Mm.
very strange. And or he like maybe he was wearing a mask of a face, like it was really weird. But upon his face was like it was sectioned off into four. I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but bears repeating. And in each section of the face, it was like like different things in stages of like life, death, decay, like, and like the seasons moving. It was just like over and over and over again, as if there was a projector on his face displaying, you know, just all states of life in life, decay, death, etc. And sometimes he would appear with a book, sometimes a wooden staff, sometimes a sand timer, um, and it depends, just and he would at first he was just talking, or sometimes he wouldn't even talk at all, and he would just be there in my dream. And eventually, I don't remember everything now, as it's quite a long time ago, but eventually, that second week, that last day of the second week, he imparted me my magical name. And I remember when I got that, I woke up feeling so refreshed. I felt so good. And I know I probably shouldn't chase that again, and that's not my intention exactly, but there was something special for me in having some kind of spirit impart my magical name.
Maybe
But of course, I was
now.
trying to
Understandably
find
so.
it. Huh?
I said, understandably so, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very powerful, especially for a young me, a younger me. That was so it was so mystical, like it was just so mystical. And there's no other word for it. And it was beautiful and powerful, and yeah, maybe even just a little bit awe-inspiring, little kind of like somewhere between
Mm,
frightened and really excited. you
That's
know,
that's that's fair.
Hmm.
That's
right?
fair.
Um it was,
I
yeah.
I just remembered something that I wanted to share um on the podcast here. So I've been reading this book about Celtic magic. Like that's another thing that I've been kind of getting back to. I mentioned this a little bit, I think, on a previous recording. I got it's interesting that wands came up in the reading that you just did, because I I'm like ashamed to admit that I did not make this connection until now, but here we go. Wands. So I'm reading about wands through this Celtic perspective. So my understanding of wands was really from a ceremonial magic perspective. I understand that the function of the wand is a tool. It can be made out of many different materials, essentially any material that you want. But the wand's purpose is to conduct energy, move energy, direct energy. That is the understanding of the wand that I've had for until now. But I'm reading this Celtic book, and they were talking about like connecting with plants by sort of just like kind of like feeling the auras around the plants, and kind of like using your hands to kind of manipulate those auras and feel that energy kind of thing. And they were saying
Mhm.
you could also use a wand, and the wand functions as a spirit ally of the tree from which the wand came. I did not make that. I was like, oh,
Mm.
oh. That would
Mm.
be realistically the other function of the wand, other than this thing that just directs energy. You know what I mean? Because like, it's very
Hmm.
particular. Like the wood that you choose or the material that you choose. Like some people have like metal wands, but like from this Celtic perspective, like trees were very big in their worldview, and very revered and respected. And so it was interesting because my most recent wand is one that I absolutely love. I love the damn thing. Love, love, love. And I never want another wand. It's black walnut, and it's very simple. It was
Ooh.
handmade. It's and I was reading a lot, and I really didn't know anything about black walnut. I just liked the wand, so I bought it because I just aesthetically liked it, and I was like, oh, it's a very simple wand, and I want this, so I bought it. And then I started reading about black walnut. Um, and it just makes sense that that would be the tree plant ally that I would come to work with. Um, and I just all I can think of is Harry Potter. Ollivander, the wand chooses the wizard. But in this
Mhm.
case, like that really did come to fruition. And then the other thing I was reading in the book is that a lot of times, like the wand is something like you have it on you, like that's your main kind of like plant ally, your main spirit ally. is from the
Mhm.
wood of that tree. And I have been having, before I even read that, I've been having this urge to like look for like holsters for like a wand, like if I want to like clip it to like a belt or something like that. And I'm like, why do I want to carry my wand with me? Like, why do I want to do this? And then I'm reading in this book and I'm like, these synchronicities are just very interesting. So I just feel like I'm just really being kind of like, I don't know, maybe spirit led in a way
Mhm.
in this phase that I'm kind of going through. But I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it, and I think it's because I'm allowing more fantasy to come into my life. Like I'm letting down some barriers because I've just been reading a lot of magic books, but they're very
Mhm.
they can be very heavy and academic, and you know they don't always necessarily do a good job of conveying the magic. But fantasy does in a different way. So, but yeah, I did not
Mhm.
realize that wands are also spirit allies and plant allies, and I feel really
Yep.
dumb that I didn't make that connection until
Mhm.
now. But so I just wanted to share that little bit of information with everyone in case you too have gone this long without making that connection.
That's actually really cool.
Mhm.
I'm glad that you came to that. I mean, I wouldn't have ever. I mean, that's kind of it's funny because like I never really saw the difference there. Like for
Mm,
me, that was always kind of very evident.
mm.
Just and that's not me being like, I'm so cool. I'm just saying
Right,
I
like
got
I
it.
know everything.
Um, right. Like, but I'm glad that what I'm glad, particularly distinctly you, Jay, is that
Mm,
talking about being spirit led.
mm.
You saying that alone.
I know.
I'm just like, yes.
I'm changing.
I swear by spirit model. Like it's in my opinion, it's low key kind of arrogant to disregard all the things that we can't see or experience just because we can't see or experience it, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. In one of my grade
yeah.
school classes, they had talked about they broke it down to three main models of magic. It was spirit, resonance, and psychological model is what they presented
Mhm.
in the class. And then in the video lesson, he was also talking about the meta model, and it was just really funny. He was like, so you have the spirit model, you have the psychological model, and here's the pros and cons of each model, and then you have the meta model, which is basically how it all works. Like that's what the meta model is how magic works.
Mm.
It was just I thought that was a really funny way of just kind of like because like as
Yeah.
humans we want to package all these things into like this model and this model and this
Mhm.
model and think that one's better than the
It
other. It's like they all fucking have relevancy.
right. They all
They all
yeah. It
work.
all flows into one another. Yeah, it's
Of
all
course.
Yeah.
which we
At the,
said, it all it's also at times also irrelevant, the model, like
it
Sophia
really
said.
yeah.
Of course.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah, because the map is not the territory.
Mhm.
mhm. Ooh.
Mm. It might be the title of this
You get
episode.
snaps for that one.
Snap snap snap. Um we
Ye-
are a little bit over an hour, so any kind of concluding thoughts, anything we wanted to wrap up would be good in the time to do that.
Ooh.
um,
Um
I
let me
like
see.
potatoes.
I do not like potato much. I'm a bad Irish boy. I don't like potatoes.
So because Jay admitted he doesn't like potatoes, and you can't trust anyone who doesn't like potatoes.
Right.
Jay's gone. He'll never be on the podcast again.
Right. I do like fried. So like, it's really like a baked potato, mashed potatoes. I'm like, ugh. But like French fries, yeah, deep fry them bitches all day long.
I love potatoes. It's all gratin, French fries, mashed potatoes. Like what is that French cheese potato dish that I can't remember what it's called? Like, I love potatoes. That's probably too much. But anyway, that's not my closing thought. My closing thought is to be kind to each other, be good to your neighbors. Um, don't be a bigot. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, Anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim beliefs are stupid and it's weird and stop it. Don't be an extremist. It leads to weird things and it makes you crazy. Um,
Don't be a colonizer.
That too, it makes you bad. It makes you do bad things, even if you think you're doing the right thing. It's not. And be good to your neighbors. Yeah, people that are around you.
Support your local land bag movement.
And I guess I wanted to close out with like a little statement of my own, is kind of piggybacking off of what Scott said about extremism. Be careful not to be an extremist yourself against Christianity, because a lot of us come from organized religion, and it's usually Christianity. We call ourselves recovering Catholics, whatever. So try to not slip into that. I used to do that a lot, especially when I was younger. I was very like, "Hail Satan, fuck the church." But I've been more exposed to, Catholicism, Christianity, and I think it's very important that we have to maintain that we recognize the validity and power of all religions on this planet. Because they are all valid. And even though we may have been hurt by them in some ways, it is our responsibility as occultist magic practitioners to work with that hurt and not weaponize it. You have to kind of heal. You got to bridge that gap. So that's just kind of my take. It's really easy to slip into the Christian bashing, especially on social media spaces, especially witchy social media spaces. But I would really say before you go, especially because Christmas is coming up, before you go to tweet some bullshit or post some bullshit, just maybe look at it before you post it and think about where that's really coming from.
It's always valid to call out Christian fundamentalists.
Absolutely.
But like if someone's like a non-harmful or actually like a good Christian, because like if they actually follows the teaching, they're an incredible based person. It's usually when they follow the cult of personality that develop around it, that people go around, and a lot of like intense beliefs, and that's what people tend to push back against. But you can't always just like measure everybody with one broad stroke. You really have to treat people as individuals.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so with that, we are going to sign off here. There's some conversation in the chat about potatoes. Oh, I see. Flame Dried. You agree with me. You also don't like potatoes. So there you go. Someone else on this planet does not like potatoes. I'm also diabetic, so potatoes don't like me either. So.
Oh yeah, that's so true about that.
They're not good for everybody. I understand that. I also really love like corn too. People are like,
I love corn.
I
love corn, but corn don't love me back either. Alrighty, guys. We're going to head out of here, and we will see you in the next one. And if you're in the Discord, we're also in the Discord, so you should be in the Discord if you're not. Cool. Alrighty. We will see you all in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.